I'm Trek with 2Ks. Hola, buenos noches, buenos tardes. My name is Trek with 2Ks, and this is another day, another Monday. Hopefully your weekend was cool, or at least you got to do some good things, or at least you were in good company in a safe space. How about that? I am Trek with 2Ks, and this is my Monday live stream. And the basic idea, if you don't know, is I go through Twitter and I see what kind of scratches my brain. And I talk about it in relation to the blockchain crypto space. I don't go off on politics. I don't talk about some new fad trend. I don't do price talk. And I will say, I have definitely learned over the umpteenth number of years now to be so appreciative of not building a audience that in particularly, because if you don't know, Gentlemen of Crypto Network, I also have my own channel. It's literally called Trek with 2Ks. That doesn't actually pay attention to me because it's like, oh, he's about to give the next rocket token, the next money grab, not my cup of tea. We got way smarter people, who you can find their stuff and they do it. I just happen to not be that guy. So with that said, I appreciate the folks who are tapping in, because some of the stuff I say outside of the price talk stuff makes sense. And, we go from there. I was looking through some of the older videos, and I would say I appreciate the folks who gave the thumbs up. I'm kind of curious on what's going on, because I think like the last couple of videos, and I don't know what I did or didn't do. All of this has been an experiment in regards to the No Face channel stuff. In that I'm not seeing the bots in there like that. I don't know if King did something on the back end on the Gentleman of Crypto side channel, or YouTube is getting better at cutting out the bots. I don't know, but I noticed there was like if anything in there. You know what? Let me do that now, because my luck, someone will decide to call me. Someone will decide to call me. What is going? Oh, okay then. All right, yeah. See, this is why you can't have your phone out when you doing live streams. I swear to God, you can't. You cannot. And pardon me, I'm still getting over something. So, yeah. I am still over here dealing with health things, and so the voice sounds how it sounds right now. And life is life, but it's not the end of the world. If you're a little sick one day, I'm still here. Blah blah blah. All right. So as we see, we got a clickbait title, and I didn't do any super deep diving on this. Y'all might know better than me. And then I got a couple of things that are kind of like more in the techie people's realm, as well as like the more old school ethos of the space. But we'll get to those, and you'll see what I'm talking about. What was the other thing? And I think I have a new account that I'm gonna end up following, and I'm gonna get into them. But BitMEX Research, I never really paid attention to it before like that. If you don't know, that's Arthur Hayes's folks, I do believe. I don't know if Arthur Hayes actually does the post for that, or is it like a conversation thing? It's like, yo, you should post this, or like, oh, I'm gonna send you over something and then push that through. I'm not certain. Um, but I just happened to go through the Explorer thing today, and I seen that popped up in the Explorer, and I was like, you know what, let me go check out the actual account and then like see what they're pushing. And it wasn't as much price talk stuff as I was expecting. And I said, okay, I think this might be one of the new accounts that I follow. If I'm late to the game, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm late to the game, right? As I've said for this year, like I'm inching back in to the crypto space, to the social media stuff, and it has been a slow toe dipping process. Like I definitely am not up on the late stuff like I used to be, because I was just on more, Twitter stuff. I was also, what's going on, Crypto Sadie? Um, I was also in more conversations with people who were also in the day-to-day part of it, whether they were on the trading side, the mining side, the like actually working with certain companies and stuff like that, and like, going to the different conferences. So I'm not in that same speed realm, pace, level of conversations. I still have things here and there, but it's definitely not at that same level anymore. Like in the 21, 2019, 2018. So yeah. But I still got some things that I'm throwing out there. And yeah. So we're gonna get into that stuff right now. Oh, I forgot to add this. Like, so for the image that I'm running with the thumbnail, that I went to Grok with, and I swear, like, Perplexity has an image thing now, I think, and Claude. I wish DeepSeek had an image feature, but they don't. Uh, I feel like it's still hell of improvements that need to be done with how Grok's image thing works, or maybe my prompts just suck ass. That could also be a part of it too. But nonetheless, let's get into these stories, and we'll start with this Binance Chainlink joint that definitely threw me when I read it. Like I said, part of me on the whole coughing thing, still getting over stuff. All right, so again, no, matter of fact, I was on CZ's Twitter page. CZ is another one that I think I might add. I'm not 100% certain. There's a level of, I'm not gonna call it gaslighting, but it's been a couple of posts that I've seen on like in CZ's thing where it's on some like you you're maybe it's just me. It might be just me, but it's like, you talking like somebody who went to jail and came out. And let me put this in context. Let me put this in context. And before I get into this post here, there was the first post that caught my attention with CZ was there was apparently another account that was like, yeah, so CZ is worth like this much. And so he was like, I think that's kind of high, but okay. And it was like, no, but really, it's about not how much you have, but are you out here trying to do stuff to help? Like he's basically like being what's the phrase where it's not satirical. Damn, what's the like it's not self-righteous. That's not the phrase I'm looking for, but like he's on his philanthropy thing now. And then I'm reading and I'm just like, And I looked at the number and I was like, bruh, you obviously know how much you worth, but you out here playing in people's faces like you don't know what the hard number is. But more importantly, what it made me question is, what deal did he have worked out in terms of, like, he doesn't have he, he might have some type of non-compete, or like some kind of probationary period of, like, you are barred from blah 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 industry for this number of years, right? And again, I haven't dug any real deepness into it, but it's just, when you look at his posts, it's just like, okay, so he can still talk crypto stuff, he can still repost Binance stuff, but he's not a part of the business of Binance. He's a part of the brand for sure, because he's also working out deals at the bilateral, governmental level on stuff. So it's just like, what kind of, and I don't know what it's called, but it really makes me wonder, because I think honestly, he's probably gonna make more money now and be able to move in a whole different way now than compared to if he would have stayed with the company and went through all of the prosecution and BS that the US was throwing at him. Now, damn it. Harder. In relation to this this post, let me read it out. BNB Chain, one of the world's largest blockchain ecosystems, backed by an active global community of developers and users, has adopted the Chainlink data standard to make official US Department of Commerce data available on chain. Now, why I'm wondering or curious or scratching my head, I tell y'all, like, the reason why this whole thing with the Twitter post stuff goes is because it's like, it's short, it's a short phrasing, it's done usually in like a short think in terms of words, advertisement kind of way, especially when it's a company, right? And so it's like, oh well, this scratches my brain. Yeah, I am gonna be dying. So this scratches my brain because if we're on this whole, and when I say we, I mean we in terms of US government, and particularly this administration's focus. If we're on this whole anti-China move, and then if now, granted, what you like, part of the thing when they were going at CZ earlier was the whole like, oh, he's Chinese, it's a Chinese connected company, da 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 da. But then the new guy who's the CEO head of it, he's so um World Bank connected, like, yet they still let him do what he does now. But again, if the argument back then was Binance was so China connected, how is this okay? And if you don't know, like, Chainlink has been doing business with the federal government, I don't know if to say from day one, but they're definitely not a newcomer to selling services and software and things along that line. Um, like, they're not new to it. They've been doing this for a hot minute. So I get the Chainlink part because I do believe they are an American registered um blockchain company or crypto company. I think we'll go with blockchain company. But how does this work exactly? Like, what was the idea And again, y'all might know better than me on this one because I ain't look into it, but it's just like, how do we sell this idea of like, oh yeah, we should put the Department of Commerce data on BNB chain? What? Why? What, like, what's the benefit of this? And then the other thought is, it's like, I wonder, you know what? I might have to play with this later because this might be a Grok question. Be like, Grok, does this make sense to you? What does it mean? I don't know. I just know this scratches my brain. It'll be one of the things again. It'll be bookmarked for my 2025 bookmarks. And we'll see how this plays out in, you know, in its own time. Are we going to see other federal departments putting some of their data on Binance chain, or will it be on Ethereum? We got the Ethereum story. It's the lead clickbait title. Will will another chain, you know, everyone, Solana's the hot shit because it has a higher transaction rate than anybody else, da 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 da. Will they be the ones that get to pick up some other department? Will we see other nation states, other governments around the world doing this thing? And again, like, if you look at how Binance been moving on the international scene, like, you know, doing government level development, I'm surprised this wasn't done someplace else already. Like, I'm surprised about that. But again, I'm still kind of lost on the part of, if we're so anti-China, and the argument in the beginning of going after Binance was about this whole China thing, how is this copacetic? It doesn't make total sense to me. But enough on that. We're gonna move on to the next thing. We'll see how it play out. Yo, okay. All right. For those of you who've been around for a minute, what is this? 2 years ago now? 2 years ago? So, damn. All right, sorry y'all. Um I want to say this was 2024. I don't think it was 2021, but I think no, 2022. I think it was 2024. No, wait. So it might have been 23. This might have happened in 23. I don't remember, and I'm not going to bother looking it up right now. But if you have been listening to anything that I've been saying a year, it had to be 23 because I've definitely been talking about this for more than a year. The IRS, this might have been last year. I might be overthinking this shit. But there was a case in where a guy sued the IRS because they started collecting his banking information, and he found out the hard way. Like, the bank happened to tell him what was going on, but it wasn't like he was flagged. It was because his homeboy that he had a business, he had a transaction with, he was under investigation by the IRS. And so the IRS was like, well, we're just going to look through everybody's stuff that he's connected with. And that's what they did. Went to the bank. Hey, we need such and such information. Boop, boop, boop. They hand it over. Guy finds out. He looks to sue. Hey, this is a violation. Y'all can't do this. Goes through the court system. I don't know if it made it to Supreme Court. I think this might have made it to like district level court, or circuit court, and I don't know which circuit it was in. court basically goes, IRS has the right or the authority of reach to, if they're investigating person on the left, you did something with person on the right, we can go into your accounts too. I bring this up because the other day on YouTube, you know how they have those commercials when you're on the when you're doing the app. You don't see it if you use the browser version side of watching YouTube video stuff. And so you have the commercials that play, and some of them are like info, what is it? What do we call those? Infomercial. There we go. Infomercial length, where like it's a couple of minutes. And if you are in the Middle East, them joints be like 40 minutes long. Okay. So nonetheless, the other day I see a commercial, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was literally the dude starts on the intro of the IRS having the right to look at your explain the same story. Not the same story, but the same scenario I just explained. He doesn't talk about the case and the two guys, whatever. He just gives a scenario, and it's like, and we provide blah 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 service. And I cut off at that point. I just remember hearing that part, and I said, "Ain't this some shit?" I've been talking about this for more than a year. And lo and behold, here's this commercial now offering some service of whatever. I don't know if any of y'all seen it, but it definitely had me like, yo, things are coming around. Things are coming around. Still we got the other issue of the bank out in California. The FBI went in and raided all of the safety boxes. Let that sink in. And that case happened before the IRS case. And then they think that was like maybe 2 years before. Those folks are still in court fighting for their property. Pardon. Those folks in the Caribbean now proposing. Yeah, those folks are still in California court fighting for the stuff that was in their deposit boxes. FBI is like, all right, bet, come through. Prove that this is you and how you got it. Honestly, I think it was a sweep, but you know, we're not gonna run down the conspiracy hole right now. But just like put that in the back of your mind at some point for anybody who's like, oh yeah, the bank is safe, and literally there's multiple things, but there's like three things that what accounts that have substantial funds in them aren't being moved for the benefit of the state. The premise is wait, but okay, hold on. Here's why that doesn't make sense to me. Because if it's for benefit of the state, are we saying benefit of the state of the nation state? Or are we saying benefit of the state? Because if it's benefit of the state, as in California, what does that have to do with the FBI? That's a federal level thing. That's a nation state level thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, and as far as I understand it, that wasn't what they were arguing, and they're not giving or have not given any substantial reason as to why, even though the warrant they had was for a specific box. It was for a specific box. They went and took everything in the room. So you see what I'm saying? Like, make that part make sense. The warrant was for one specific box, but you went in and took everything in the room. Not just the one box that the warrant covered. That doesn't connect to me. If that's the premise of, oh, well, this was for the benefit of, but then why'd you get the warrant? that said you could only go in one box? Should the warrant not have said you have access to all the boxes? I don't know. But nonetheless, those folks are still fighting for their stuff. Those folks are still fighting for their stuff. So here, again, CZ, I'm telling you, like he moving different. And I don't know if it's just maybe I wasn't paying attention to CZ posts like that pre-jail, pre-prison, prison. He wasn't, excuse me. He went to prison, not jail. So I don't know, man. Like it's just one of those. And then I seen this and it was like, okay, sure. Yo, okay, bet. Here's another thing in relation to this particular post. Am I the only one hearing not gremlins, mumblings or grumblings of the orange man sort of seeming like he's presenting certain things that might be Joe Biden reminiscence in sort of in terms of the mental aptitude? And I've heard it from more than one commentator, and not within the mainstream media side of things. But granted, you remember how they was all calling him crazy and they had all these like experts talking about his psychological state in the first run. And I feel like, and granted, I'm not paying attention to all of his talks and rhetorics and blah, 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 but it definitely seems like there's a difference in his soundbite stuff that he be saying now versus what he was saying in the first run. Is it just me? I don't know. But yeah, this whole thing of like, we have a crypto president, he's going to be the one. Again, like, I definitely don't know the conversations that CZ be having. Obviously, they're way above my pay scale and above my echelon, right? But it's just one of those like, like, what whispers are you hearing? And when you say like crypto president, are we saying crypto president in terms of, oh, crypto is being good for everyone? Or this is like, oh, crypto is going to be good for those who, excuse me again. All right, sorry. All right, so I'm not the only one hearing that then. I'm not the only one. So like, where's I going? Again, CZ's in a whole different tax bracket, right? And if you look at what's going on with the Trump family, it's just like, just don't give me the everybody free, we all gonna be able to eat thing. This is like a quintillion effect of the folks who are up at the spigot is gonna be the first to get the to eat kind of thing. That's how it's coming off to me. And again, I don't know, like looking at these CZ posts, some things I be agreeing with, and other things I just be like, what's going on, man? Like, what? Oh, my bad. I didn't even show the damn post. My bad. Let me do this real quick. That was my mistake, folks. This is the post that I'm talking about. Nope. That's not the one. There we go. Damn it. Okay. So yeah, that's the post that I'm talking about. Again, and he be some of the things come off real facetious isn't the word. What I'm trying to think of that word where you're just like, you're doing things because it's like, oh, this is the good and righteous thing to do. And then he says other things that does other things where I'm just like, showing that real business acumen, sir. There you go. And he does other things or says other things that just really make me wonder what kind of deal did he have? Like, is his deal? Well, he served time, so like his deal definitely wasn't like Arthur Hayes' deal, right? He actually had to go behind the bars. But whatever. Also, didn't know that this was a thing. Lost text spur oversight inquiry into former SEC Gary Gensler. Basically, he's saying that he doesn't have communication between him and whoever it was that they were requesting, and it's like, oh well, my bad, and it's like, oh, don't worry about it, Gary, it's okay, and it's like, really? So there's no level of accountability in terms of like, is this your personal device that you were deleting stuff off of, or is this the government approved phone for your job that you got handed that is like, hey, like y'all get what I'm saying? Like the way this plays out in terms of like, hey, just claim you lost the text. They can't hold it against you. And then that's it. Like that's it. He still gets to go off and do what he does in life, even though he's ruined like how many people's lives. And I'm specifically going in regards to the crypto thing and the way that he chose to do regulation of the space, as opposed to providing actual clarity and standards for all of those people who are the regulation warriors. It was just like, hey, you did wrong. Well, what did I do? Don't worry about it. Boop, over your head. Give me your business. You're bankrupt now. We're freezing all your funds. Like, yo, other funny point, talking about the blockchain summit. So as I said to y'all, Hester Pierce was there. There was no tea in any of what she said. And it also makes me realize more now because I know the question process, and I know also for how her thing played out, like you wasn't going to get anything out of it. But here's the part, and I said this last time. You can't have the prison person talking to, like, you can't have the commissioner of the jail talking to the other commissioner of the jail and then trying to give you the insights of a prisoner and like the change and reform that they would like to see that's actually appropriate, relevant, and beneficial to the people actually in the lockup system. You see what I'm saying? And so here's where I realize the dishonesty plays out, in that she does this thing where she does I forgot what the phrase is right now, but it's like, all right, all the things that I say are just basically solely my opinions, and it's not in relation to my position or my role within the SEC or any current things that are open for discussion or in litigation, blah, 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 blah. Make this make sense to me. If you are talking in that capacity of you as the individual, not as the commissioner, why then do your questions have to be cleared by the place you work for? So you're not talking in the capacity of you, the person. You're talking in the capacity of the commissioner, of the warden, of the person in charge of an enforcement agency. You see what I'm saying? Like that, you can't have an honest conversation if that's the ramification, if that's the context and the environment. Damn. That the quote conversation is being held in. Hold up. That is not an honest conversation in my book. And I don't know if I had mentioned this before. Whew. Yeah, I'm dying down here. After she gets off stage, Reggie happens to be over on the side. She recognizes him, and I'm just watching it. All right. So yeah, I just watched it and it was just like, that's hilarious. They have a little couple of words or whatever. It's just like, yeah, well, if you have any questions or anything, like my office is open. Blah 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 blah. And this is like he comes over to me later. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have talked to her. My lawyers are gonna be mad. I was like, I believe it. I believe it. Because if you don't know, he's in litigation with the SEC um over, how they treated him and the whole Veritasium thing. And so, as I've said before, there's this slow creep thing happening with other companies and players in the crypto space. But so far, it doesn't seem like anybody's saying anything to him and walking back how they treated him. But that's just my take on looking at the situation going, it looks kind of funny. And again, this guy, no accountability. He just gets to go on to life. And, it is what it is. Okay, hold up. Okay. So, this is BitMEX research. Again, I'm not certain how it plays out in terms of like who's the person actually handling the account to put out the post. Um, Basically reads out below is a form of presentation we gave. Below is from a presentation we gave in 2015. We have not seen Mike Hearn's view on this topic expressed so clearly like this for a long time. Are Mike Hearn's views on Bitcoin coming back into fashion? So there are two competing visions of game theory here. Mike Hearns. Miners care about the long-term interests of the system game of life. Peter Todd, miners maximize profit in the next block. Nash equilibrium. Now, my thought on this, when I originally read it, I think I understood it. I was understanding it differently before, but now that I read it again, this is something else. It was another conversation that I was having at the Black Blockchain Summit where Frederick, God, what's Fred's name, last name? I can't remember his last name right now, but he has a whole big concern thing about looking at what's going on with the miners and how, like, as the happenings keep happening, the financial incentive, we're going to end up losing, at least for his idea and projection of how he looks at it, we'll end up losing miners who provide that security to the network because it won't be financially advantageous because of the happenings, right? And this goes to this point here that was brought up by Mike Hearn versus Peter Todd, right? And I'm not 100% certain on this one. I'll be honest with you, right? For how I look at what is going on in the space now, security is not a part of the conversation like it was back in 2015. The security of the Bitcoin blockchain is not the same type of conversation that we had back in 2015. Why? Because the majority of the people who are in the space now don't care about the tech like that, don't care about the consensus mechanism, don't even understand. Like, there's a number of people who up to now have never even read the Bitcoin white paper. All they know is it's on this thing called Coinbase, and they can just do their little swipe thing and buy it. And it costs a lot, and it's up like over 100K right now. That's all they know. And I've said this before. I have said this before. There is, damn, I forgot what I said before. Ha. Yeah, okay, bet. Those of us who have the ideals of economic sovereignty, financial freedom in its most meaningful thing of like, I can hold, store, protect, transfer, save this thing as a financial instrument at my discretion. The folks who also understand that that means like there is loss that comes in with that if you are not being due diligent, that's the minority of the folks in this space right now. Majority of the folks who are moving around in this space now, and I'm not saying that they weren't the money bag, the grifters, and all of them. I'm not saying they weren't here before. What I'm saying is those that mindset, that thought process, those folks are the majority now. They're not the minority like they were back in the day. Like, even on the end of, excuse me, like, what is, and even if you look at it from the standpoint of how consolidated the mining aspect is of 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 uh of of crypto in general now, but specifically in regards to Bitcoin, like, the mom and pop level of it isn't what it was back in 2015. It's more company, corporate, cooperative, collective based now compared to what it was back then. So it's just like, I get you, but I don't know if I agree on it. And like, and here's the other part, and this is going to play into another post. When you look at what's the thing called, the block wars, right? That's the bigger level personality folks and businesses trying to do what they do to make it advantageous to them in particular, versus the like, no, this works for the better collective overall, not just my company or my clique of people. I don't know if this still prevails. Like, do people care about the security of the network like they did back then? I think that there are a number of people who do, and a number of people who definitely see it as having a growing of importance because of all of the things and directions that Bitcoin is now being pulled into, as well as what we see going on with other chains. But do I think that's the prevailing mindset, the Mike Hearn joint? I don't know. I think Peter called it back then. Granted, he might not have given a timeline of like, oh, this is gonna be like it's gonna be from now 2015 forward, or like in the coming years, this will be a more prevalent thought process. I don't think that was how that conversation or that statement was put out there, but I can see it. Like, I can see it. Like, I don't know. That's just me, I guess. I'm also trying to write a note. So for what my um what my LinkedIn um post is going to be this week. What are my takeaways? Yeah. So we got to like figure out multi ways to reutilize this content and stuff, as they say. I forgot what the what is it, the rehashing, rephrasing, whatever. Anyhow, moving on to the next thing. If y'all agree, cool. If y'all don't, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. For those of you who know what that's about, again, I'm I am curious as to how many people would actually understand what that was about. What's the other one? Okay, so this post got me too. All right, let me. So let me read this one out too. 126,000 politically managed United States dollars per developer are not good at politics. Politics Bitcoin. And when I first seen it, I was like, what? Like, where are we going with this? So when you open this up, where'd you go? Somebody breaks it out down here. All right, yeah. Because Dano Prey, like I was on the same, what does this mean? So BitMEX breaks it down. It means Bitcoin price is going up and the USD is going down. The USD is managed by political leaders. Some people seem to think core developers are political leaders / stewards, and they are doing a poor job of politics. However, political money goes down, which, if you do look at how history plays out, that kind of is the thing. When you start messing around with your money, it is usually some political things that are going on where, you know, hey, we got to start doing this thing to financialize the money circulation, or the what is it, the money velocity, or the money generation, or the money creation, or the money medium. So, like, case in point, when they talk about Rome back in the day, they used to do the clipping where they were doing something where, like, they were either, what was it, cutting down the size, but they were doing it really, really small, so like you barely noticed it. And then we get into different things as far as like, but that was there were political things going on that was the idea that somebody came up with as a way to make it um work for what was going on with the system at the time. And we have a whole bunch of that going on now. Like, I was watching something the other day and they were talking about stock buybacks. And I was talking to Catherine from Storage about this, where it's just like, stock buybacks are seen as a normal thing now, but they are a form of market manipulation in terms of stocks, and they are financial engineering. And I didn't know the timeline of it in terms of stock buybacks weren't a thing before the Reagan administration. They were illegal. It was illegal to do stock buybacks before the Reagan administration. Showing my age, right? But that was a thing. And then we turned around and was like, well, you know what? Let's let them do it a little bit. Then, what was the other thing that I was learning about? I was listening to somebody break this down too, about like how, what was it, 401ks initially started out as a loophole in the tax code. And so companies were like, all right, bet we have less financial liability. Like, is yo, like the number of things that we see as normal and as a part of the system, or as like, oh, this is the best common practice. This is what everyone does. This is like when it first got introduced to the public, it wasn't um the hot shit item or the best common practice stuff that we see it as now. And then the way that we sell it to the masses, because like all you need is to get past that first generation. Case in point with pensions, apparently 401ks, I forgot the company that first started it, but they did it by themselves first, and then the government was like, oh, we should push this out to other companies across the states, and then eventually everyone else picked up on it. And I was like, wow, interesting. It's a common practice that the government will see an individual doing something and then be like, oh, let's put it on this way at scale. But anywho, point being is there's things going on in our finance and economic realms that at one point it wasn't the best common practice. It wasn't the everyone does it. It was illegal, or it was one of those like, hey, don't do that, because then in another cycle or generation or two, you're gonna have this issue. And math works how math works. Like the markets work how they work. And when you then it's also so crazy on the end of, we know that there's a level of markets are local, and then markets have a regionalness to them. So case in point, it's like saying a local is all right within this city or within this zip code. Regional is like, all right, we're gonna say Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. All right, or like the MVA, sorry, the DMV, Virginia, DC, Maryland, right? Um, and and as you go like higher up the thing, there's other factors that play into how that market works. But we do a lot of like artificial prompting with our system. And for the most part in modern economics, like mostly all of the first tier countries do it. We have circuit breakers, we have different like policing agencies. We do things where it's just like, hey, we don't want the market to really be a free runaway market, because if we let it do that, if we let the market, whatever market it is we're talking, financial, grain, farming, blah blah blah, they end up having, they get into their own boom bust cycle. But it would play out really weird when you get into the whole thing about like the local, then the regional, and then like the national, and then like the global thing. So we have these things like um the FinCEN, the SEC, and stuff like that, and like other financial agencies, to give more of a coordination between these different markets and echelons. Because if you just let them work on true free market dynamics, the cycles wouldn't necessarily sync, and it'd be too kind of chaotic to operate in. And then there's the other part of like the people who want to be in power and be greedy can't be greedy the way they want to be greedy, you know? But anywho, enough of me rambling on that. Let's push up to no. Okay, so this is the other one. Um, I got to look into this. So Bitcoin Core versus Bitcoin Knots. The op return debate is actually what the op return debate is actually about. Um, again, like I said, Yo, what's going on, man? Yeah, bro, and it's really more so because of how the lights and stuff are set up in this particular room and where I'm at. Like I'm heating up, and the whole talking thing. Like, I never realized until a while back of like how much like just the dry mouth thing plays into effect. That sounds like a pause in there somewhere. Um I'm gonna get to the I'm gonna call Neo. Yeah, I mean, Neo, man, who remembers Neo? Jesus, I haven't heard that in a hot minute. Jesus, I haven't heard that in a hot minute. But yeah, but what's up to you, man? Like I said, I'm a little under the weather. I'm actually getting over. I was way worse than this a couple of days ago. But to this thing about what is going on between the crypto core and the Bitcoin knots, I definitely want to look into it. And like I said, today's thing was going to be a little bit more technical story related, because this is one of the things that scratched my brain. As I also said just a couple of minutes ago, like most folks don't care about this technical side of what is going on, because as long as price go to the moon with Bitcoin, all right, whatever y'all talking about on the back end, that don't really mean nothing to me. Again, most in my mind, most of the people who are in the space now don't care for the early day ideals, and in terms of like the true or the purest, quote purest, meaning of excuse me, economic sovereignty and financial freedom. Like it's a protection thing. It's a not just a, well, how do I just get the value without doing any of the work or having any of the responsibility to it. Like this is a part of it. It isn't saying, I'm not saying that you got to code or you got to be at every meeting or you got to be out here, preaching it down all the time. But it's one of those, like, this should be an aspect that you should have some level of awareness of, because you better understand, is this something that is harming my economic sovereignty? Like, like case in point, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic is the perfect example. What is that? Not BIP. The protocol 5519 or 1955, or what is that? 55.9, whatever. I know there's a 5 in there and I know there's a 9 in there. That introduction, did that harm people or did it help? It made 2 new chains, that's for sure, depending on where you were when that whole thing went down, right? You had either started like loading up on the new Ethereum, or you just stayed with the old Ethereum Classic. And code is law. That's what we're gonna roll with. That's what we're gonna keep to. But then you see all of these functions and features and stuff going on over there in the new Ethereum blockchain. And it's like, oh man, but I want to get that bag, because I believe Ethereum's up there now. I think it's like 1,000. I don't know. Don't get me to lying. Y'all know I don't be paying attention to the prices like that. But like, did what the new Ethereum, Vitalik's Ethereum, did it help this? Did it help the individual? Listen to what I'm saying. Does it help the individual for moving over to proof of stake? Does that help the individual in terms of economic sovereignty and financial freedom? Arguably, it does not, because proof of stake gives us quantitative easing and quantitative tightening in the crypto space. And so, sorry, I'm trying to write down this note, y'all. Hopefully I can read this later. So, like, was that helpful to the individual? Did that harm the overall ecosystem? It depends on which side of this thing you're on. It depends on how you're running with these the principles of how you operate in this space. If your principle is get the bag, then bump it. Like the new bit means nothing. The changing of the consensus mechanisms mean nothing, because all you're trying to do is get the value, extract out, and then like move on to the next thing. Right? And now, if that's the basis of your economic freedom, which is different than economic sovereignty in my mind, but some people would disagree. I'm just saying. Um, like, just again, these are the things that scratch my brain. And I'm not telling anybody they got to be a coder or they got to be super technical and a purist and all of that stuff. I'm not even telling you to, hey, Bitcoin's the way to go. I'm not telling you Ethereum's the way to go. I'm just saying, if you're really trying to run on this thing of economic sovereignty and financial freedom, or you might just be running off of financial freedom, screw economic sovereignty. Hey, that do what you do. Do what you do. Right? But again, this is one of the things that's going on right now. The Bitcoin knots versus it's a or. It's not a, well, this says versus. The caption says or. I don't know. I got to look into what this is about though, because I am actually curious what this is about for what's going on with Bitcoin. Yeah. What was the other one? Oh, well, and again, this other one by BitMEX research also goes into that point about um the block size wars, which that's a book, y'all. If you didn't know, it is a book. And it definitely gets into like that, what you saw on the Twitter space, depending on who you were following, or like how you were looking at it, as far as like what might have made it into some of the news stuff, which wasn't really like that back then, unless you were in like the Reddits and the Twitter and what was the other joint? I can't think of it right now. Was it Bitcoin Magazine? When their early version of their website. I can't remember the whole thing right now, but Discord, bam, that's where I was trying to go. Discord. But nonetheless, like, we did all this stuff back then. Let me read it out. Sorry, y'all. We fought and won the block size war for a reason, so that we don't need to spend all of our time worrying about what goes on chain, so that we don't need to go around begging people not to relay things, and so that we don't need to plead with miners not to put things in blocks. Basically, it's like, if we would have if it would have went the opposite way of the block size expanding beyond what it is right now, that means more transactions could have been put inside blocks that make up the storage of the data, the transaction, and all that stuff. And so the issue of part of what was argued back then was, if you allow for more storage space, people are going to find things to put in on chain. X amount of that stuff isn't going to mean jack diddly. And then we open ourselves up for the Bitcoin blockchain getting bullshit added in on chain. Like, not just, oh, this person did a inscription for ordinals and stuff like that, or not just like how the '08 recession that happened. There's the New York Times article, I think, that is in one of the like the early blockchain, the earlier blocks. Sorry, and so the idea in regards to this post, which I would agree, just because of how you got the bad actor folks, and again, you got the folks who were arguing this. in terms of the minor companies back then and the bigger personalities in the space who were holding certain bags, crypto bags, they were arguing this point saying, well, yeah, we should do it, but the intention behind it was like, oh, this is going to benefit me versus this is better for the overall space. Again, that's the thing that gets it. It's like, is this better for the overall space? Which it goes to the Mike Hearn video, not video, the Mike Hearn comment about the way that the miners will look at the security of the blockchain, the network, versus just the, oh, we got to get the bag. If we ain't getting the bag, we're not going to do any of the security stuff anymore. Which again, I'm just saying, 2015 is 10 years later. The mindset is kind of different out here. The mining companies are more mature. They have a different approach to how they trying to get this bag for the long run. And I be honest, that was another conversation that was happening at the Black Blockchain Summit. But I don't know. And I've been kind of wondering that, like, what happens when we get past a certain halving? Like, how far down do we go? Until it's just like, like, what'll be the first big mining company, mining collective, that side of it, not the company selling the Pixes and Axes, aka the miners. Like, who's gonna get bought out first, or who's just gonna be like, all right, this ain't the thing, boom, we selling everything off? Like, who do you sell all the ASICs to? But like, you know what? Let me not. This joint happens. Government shutdown pushed investors to Bitcoin as safe haven asset. I don't know if I agree with this statement, but it sounds cool because of what's going on if you're a federal employee, which I can't even imagine how many federal people, if they're not involved in the S&P 500, are in crypto right now. Granted, there probably is a bunch of people like, yeah, I went on my Coinbase account and I bought some Bitcoin. Word? Really? Is it still on your Coinbase account? Do you really then have the Bitcoin if it's still on your Coinbase account? I'm just saying, economic sovereignty includes possession. And for how possession is defined now, thanks to how things work within blockchain, I'm just saying. So this was the inspiration for the clickbait title. Chinese citizens can now own Ethereum. Nothing stopping this train. So who's that? Coinvo? I just happened to see it. And I made this point at the Black Blockchain Summit about how, like, at this stage, and I was on a DAO panel. If anybody is with or in the Gala Games space, reach out to me, please. There's somebody that I'm trying to find over there. Hopefully I hear from this person sooner than later. But yeah, if somebody's into the Gala Game space, reach out to me. I got questions on some things with how y'all stuff work over there. But in regards to this, one of the points that I was making on the DAO panel I was on was, we know the technology works. We know building community is already a thing. And in regards to this, we know, oh wow, I was way the hell off. I said 1K. I said 1,000. Was Ethereum's all-time high is like 1,000? Wow, I was way the hell off. That is hilarious. Oh man, that's hilarious. But that's what I'm saying. Like but it wasn't I feel like the Bitcoin core folks got what was going on. Like they understood what the knots were arguing, and it makes sense in terms of the technical side, the financial side. But it's just like human nature and just people being assholes is too high. Like I hear what you arguing, and then some of y'all was definitely being disingenuous. If you read the book really breaks down like who was doing what, who was saying what publicly, and then like how they were like conspiring on the back end and like separate meetings. It gets crazy in the block size war thing. But this part of um Ethereum, like people in China already had access to Bitcoin and Ethereum and other crypto prior to this quote thing being posted. And well damn, I wasn't doing the social media, I wasn't doing the YouTube side content back in the day like that. But um uh what was that 2019 2018, like the Chinese version of the Supreme Court had already accepted that blockchain could be counted as evidence. There was another story that came out in like 21 or 22. Oh man, pardon me. About how what was it? Uh, like you could get crypto, but you couldn't use it as official currency. So like the 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 misinformation, the confusion, the y'all not really catching it on this side is the, and when I say this side, I mean in regards to the West. It's like these stories already came out. These things have already been a thing, and y'all are just catching up to what it is, even though it's already been there. Like, and then even if the government is like, well, y'all can't use it as money, people are doing whatever it is they're doing with it. Some people are using it as financial instruments for just trading. Some people are using it like in some way of purchasing. Some people are just like, I'm just gonna hold this, and at some point, this is gonna be my bag, right? Um, that's just a whole like that's gonna. This is the part that really started to annoy me around like 27, no, more like 2018, where people started to tell you like how you had to use crypto. Oh well, you got to use it to be a trader. You got to trade. If you're not trading, then you're not doing it right. If you're not trading, and it was like, yo, bro, I was at this how many years before you? Like, how you gonna tell me how I gotta use what? What? Nonetheless, yes, clickbait title. I think in my mind, at the end of the day, though, like it already was there. People already had it. The question is, are they using it for a monetary type of financial instrument versus just a trading mechanism of financial instrument? And I would argue most people over there are probably using it as a trading mechanism. The technology works. It does what it's supposed to do. That's it. That's all we got. All right, last joint, and then I'm out. I'm actually surprised I made it this long, honestly. Yeah, the throat was killing me, and that's definitely a pause. That's definitely a pause. All right, so and I think I got this one from CZ2, but Peter Back. If y'all don't know who he is, you can definitely Google the man, look him up. He kind of has a symbiosis with this whole crypto space thing. Evidence piling up that censorship resistance and curbing spam are fundamentally in conflict. The internet physics of this are that A, prioritizing fighting spam conflicts with B, privacy and censorability and decentralization. Prioritize one. So what is he saying here? And when I read it, it was just like, oh, fucking like the light bulb moment, right? In that the short of it is like, hey, in order for us to have like better counters to spam and like fighting spam, you have to implement things within code or with on in the um tech stack of the internet that collect more information, which then brings you to its anti-privacy, which then brings you to there's censorability. It like having spam filters means whatever it is you're using inherently has censorability. Because in order for you to be able to stop getting the spam, you have to be able to censor the traffic. And it's not necessarily crypto, but it's like related still because it also plays into the part of like, how do you disincentivize people or stop people from putting bullshit on chain? And bullshit is like bad data, random stuff that arguably you don't need to put on chain, or if you're just putting stuff on chain to fill up space. Like, how do you get that? How do you filter that spam? You have to put in more controls of censorship in order to stop the spam. That's it. Like, simple but profound, y'all. It might not really mean or matter to X amount of folks, but in my mind, it was a good post. In my mind, I should tag Rick Dudley in this one. Matter of fact, we're gonna do that right now. What you think, Rick? He does not use his LinkedIn account. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all on this episode. I got a couple of final thoughts, things to take away, at least four. I doubt I'll write four things out. I might combine two of them or just do three, maybe even one that combines three of them. I don't know, but I'll at least make one post this week on LinkedIn. If you don't know, my LinkedIn is actually Trek with 2Ks. And you can find me over there. And I say sometimes, yeah, at least half of the time be kind of spicy. Some of the stuff. But you know, it is what it is. It's just where I'm at with how I push my stuff out on LinkedIn. That is the more as Eli the computer guy talks about, it's displaying the brain nipples. Displaying the brain nipples. Yeah. Nonetheless, folks, it is a Monday, and as I said in the beginning, I hope you had a good weekend. If it was uneventful, sometimes, having an uneventful weekend is a good weekend because it could get crazy for a whole 24 hours. You just like, oh my goodness, I just need this day to end, right? And then other times, if you got, good company with you, you having good laughs, you having good food, you recharging the batteries, however you recharging those batteries in order to deal with this Monday. If you go to work on Monday, if you go to work on Tuesday, hey, hopefully it worked out for you that way, that you recharge the batteries and then, you put on your game face come this Monday and you did some productive things. For those of you who are dealing with the federal shutdown, like, Positive vibes out to you. My heart goes out to y'all. Lord, I was literally talking to somebody today earlier. They got let go during the initial downsizing thing in the beginning part of the administration, and we were saying, like, we knew it was gonna be chaotic, but we didn't think it was gonna be at this scale, and we didn't think it was gonna be so fast. And it's just like, if this is what less than year one looks like, heaven only knows what year 2, 3, and 4 will look like. But nonetheless, man, I'm wishing the best for folks out there. I truly am. That's what I got for y'all. So as I say, from one human to the next, the best that I can wish for you to be is in a safe space, in a safe place, and in good company. And I'm Trek with 2Ks. Please do the share, like, and all that stuff. Check over the original channel, which is Trek with 2Ks. I appreciate the thumbs up on the videos that I've been doing this like last month and plus. And if y'all could just throw it out over there too. Other than that, y'all have a good evening. And I will check y'all out. And we go from there. I'm Trek with 2Ks.